The hardest choices require the strongest wills.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 MCU villain backstories.
What do you mean, the woods?
The Muir Woods, Second Fire Road off the Panoramic Highway.
For God's sake.
I'm exercising my blood right. The challenge for the mantles of King and Black Panther.
To remind myself that I'm not cruel for the sake of cruelty. That I'm not my father. That I'm not a monster!
For this list, we'll be looking at villains featured in MCU films and television shows with the most interesting pasts. Who's your favorite MCU villain? Let us know in the comments below. Number 10. Ghost, Ant-Man and the Wasp. Ava Starr, aka Ghost, was the daughter of Elias Starr, a former partner to Hank Pym. Elias was fired in disgrace from S.H.I.E.L.D., yet continued his work on quantum energy.
You had him fired. Oh, and discredited for good measure. My father tried to continue his research on his own, desperate to restore his name.
When an accident occurred in his personal lab, his daughter ran towards him, yet was pushed back and filled with quantum energy.
I didn't want him to be alone.
Both her parents were lost in the accident, and when rescuers arrived to help, they were unable to touch Ava, as she had been rendered intangible from the energy. She was taken in by Bill Foster, former co-worker to her father. She lived a life of constant pain and physical instability, and Foster helped her in any way he could.
When S.H.I.E.L.D. collapsed, I took Ava in.
Number 9. Alexander Reid, The Defenders. Though The Defenders wasn't the most successful series, you can never go wrong with Sigourney Weaver. The Hand is referred to as such due to its 5 founding members, Alexander Reid being the leader.
I had a daughter once. This was in my first life, before I made the pilgrimage to Kunlun, before I learned of the substance.
Following the death of her daughter, Reid went to Kunlun, seeking wisdom concerning life and death. However, she and 4 others defected, choosing to use the ancient teachings to gain immortality.
They didn't want to heal. They wanted immortality, power, to never face death, to regenerate themselves again and again.
This resulted in banishment. Reid is actually at least 600 years old and has used pseudonyms throughout her long life to mask her immortality. She amassed a fortune and business empire, thereby placing herself in a powerful position when we met her in The Defenders.
I'm told your donation to the Philharmonic should just about cover the remodeling.
Small price to pay in the larger scheme of things.
Number 8. Cottonmouth, Luke Cage. Cornell Bertram Stokes, aka Cottonmouth, was abandoned as an infant in Harlem, following the overdose of his father, which led to his mother feeling unfit to raise him.
She left you, and there you were, wrapped in a blanket in a basket. Mama Mabel put you in my hands that very day.
She left him to Mama Mabel, a prominent member of the Stokes crime family. Cornell was then put in the care of Maria, who herself had been raised by the Stokes. In his youth, he developed a love for music, particularly the piano, and was greatly talented, wishing to pursue a career as a pianist.
But all I'm saying is that Cornell should be in one of them schools like, Juilliard.
There's only one school that matters.
However, Mama Mabel pushed him into a life of petty crime instead. This led to him eventually running the family business.
You're not built for this.
I just don't know.
Why do you think I paid for all those lessons? You can be something better than all of us.
Number 7. ELEKTRA Daredevil. Elektra Natchios was raised from a young age by Stick, who trained her to become an assassin. Her training was intense, and at the age of 12, she could take down 3 grown men by herself. After a few altercations, Elektra ended up killing a man, and this was covered up by Stick, who subsequently placed her in the care of a wealthy ambassador and his wife.
Kid, use your head. Watch these people. Watch everything about them, how they walk, how they talk, how they eat, all of it. Playing someone else. Someone fancy.
She grew up with the family and was eventually called upon by Stick to find Matt Murdock, a former student. She was tasked with seducing him in order to have him join their cause. However, Elektra failed as she fell in love with Murdock instead.
Thought you were stronger than that, but here you are, 'cause you fell in love.
Number 6. Kilgrave, Jessica Jones. Kevin Thompson, aka Kilgrave, developed a brain defect in his early youth which required a number of medical tests.
Be a big boy for Mummy and Daddy, Kevin.
You don't see Erik crying when he goes in the sin bin.
He formed a great resentment towards his parents as he felt emotionally ignored throughout this period. After this battery of tests, he developed the ability to control minds and started with his parents. He commanded his parents to do his bidding, and they fulfilled his every wish. He became a sadist, having no sympathy for human suffering.
We carried out his every childish demand for years.
He was throwing a tantrum, but I was busy ironing, and I never should have yelled at him.
He was abandoned by his parents out of fear following an incident in which he forced his mother to disfigure her own face with an iron. Since then, Kilgrave was left to fend for himself, using his powers to survive.
I was all alone, Mum. I had to make people feed me, and shelter me, and care for me. That's how I learned to survive.
Bollocks, Kevin.
Number 5. Wilson Fisk, aka Kingpin, Daredevil. Brilliantly portrayed by Vincent D'Onofrio, Daredevil audiences really got an in-depth examination of Wilson Fisk's psyche. Wilson was raised in a tumultuous environment, with his father taking out his anger on Wilson's mother.
You gotta take risks. You want something out of life, you gotta put yourself out there.
You gotta put yourself out there, Mom.
You see? The kid is smarter than you.
On at least one occasion, Wilson's father forced him to physically confront someone in their neighborhood who mistreated others. Even worse, his father would make the child stare at the wall while he took his anger out on his mother.
I gotta get it in my own house! In my own house!
Bill!
Eventually, Wilson stood up to his father with a hammer in order to put an end to his mother's agony. Wilson and his mother disposed of the body together, and he was sent to live with relatives on a farm.
My mother, she sent me to live with relatives on the farm that I told you about.
It wasn't your fault. You were protecting your mother.
Number 4. Loki, Various. Everyone's favorite villain Loki was born to a frost giant king on Jotunheim, yet was rejected and abandoned for being feeble.
Why would you take me?
You were an innocent child.
No, you took me for a purpose. What was it? Tell me!
He was found and adopted by Odin, who magically altered Loki's appearance to that of an Asgardian. Raised in the shadow of his older brother Thor, Loki became bitter and resentful. Thor was a shining star in Asgard, and Loki could not keep up, thus resolving to achieve his own brand of greatness in other ways.
You're a talented liar, brother, always have been. It's good to have you back. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to destroy Jotunheim.
He turns to Asgardian magic taught to him by his mother Frigga rather than combat skills. She saw it as a way for Loki to prove himself to Odin, whereas Loki saw it as a gateway into mischief.
I guess I'll just have to go it alone. Like I've always done.
Number 3. Erik Killmonger, Black Panther. Eric Stevens, born as Indijaka but known as Killmonger, was raised in California by his father, his mother having died in prison. Growing up, he heard stories of Wakanda from his father, who promised to take him there someday.
I gave you a key, hoping that you might see it someday. Yes, the sunsets there are the most beautiful in the world.
After seeing the injustice Black Americans faced, Eric's father, Njobu, planned to steal Wakandan technology to empower them. His brother, King T'Chaka, discovered his treacherous plan and confronted him, resulting in the death of Njobu.
Use a whip on me.
Erik would go on to join the Navy SEALs, going to war boasting the highest kill count in his unit, becoming known as Killmonger.
I took life from my own brothers and sisters right here on this continent. And all this death, just so I could kill you.
Number 2. Red Skull. Captain America, the first Avenger, and Avengers Endgame. Johann Schmidt, aka Red Skull, was born in North Germany. He became a talented physicist with a particular interest in Norse mythology and its possible practical application. He garnered the attention of Adolf Hitler and eventually joined the cause.
You serve at his pleasure. He gave it his facility as a reward for your injuries.
What? Call it what it is, exile. I no longer reflect his image of Aryan perfection.
He worked his way through the ranks, eventually gaining control of his own branch of the SS, which he named Hydra. Hydra was based on the idea of the superior human and sought wisdom on how to achieve this superiority.
His serum is the Allies' only defense against this power we now possess. If we take it away from them, then our victory is assured.
He gains the superhuman abilities he desired after he comes across a version of the serum created by Abraham Erskine, but there was one small side effect.
You see, I was his greatest success!
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions. Caecilius, Doctor Strange. The loss of his wife and child led him to the Ancient One.
I came to you, broken, lost, in need. Trusted you to be my teacher, and you fed me lies.
Hela, Thor Ragnarok. Firstborn child of Odin, banished from Asgard due to her overly violent nature.
One by one, the realms became ours. But then, simply because my ambition outgrew his, he banished me, caged me, locked me away like an animal.
Ego, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. A primordial celestial being with delusions of grandeur.
But I wanted more. I desired meaning. There must be some life out there in the universe.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. Thanos. Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. Thanos was born to the Titans on the planet Titan. Original, we know. They were a godly, powerful race. Thanos was dedicated to his people and loved them dearly. However, Titan fell into crisis from overpopulation.
Titan was like most planets. Too many mouths, not enough to go around.
Thanos' solution to this problem was to randomly eliminate half the population, thus rescuing the planet and its people. His suggestion was rejected, however, and resulted in his banishment. Over the years, Titan was reduced to a desolate wasteland as they had never resolved their problem, and Thanos became the last of his kind.
And what I predicted came to pass.
Congratulations, you're a prophet.
I'm a survivor.
Seeing what happened on Titan drove him to collect the Infinity Stones, believing he could save the universe from suffering the same fate.
With all 6 stones, I could simply snap my fingers. They would all cease to exist. I call that mercy.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.